You already know what time it is. 7 p.m. I gave time, totally. Twitch would be very happy with me if I did that. So blame Twitch. I would definitely play it on stream, you know, if they would let me. It's unbelievable. Hello, 11. Nice, first try cap. That was not first try Hydro, that was first try Divine Virtue. Which is a lot easier than Hydro Camouflage, definitely. You mean to? Oh, okay. What's today? Did I not get past I yesterday? Yesterday? 3 fucking stage 4s? 1 Momiji, 2 to Ion? I actually think 1 died to Triple Fairy. Still 2 past Momiji. Pretty fucking good. And I'm already losing frames. I mean, it was 5 seconds worth of frames, so it's not like it's that much, but you know, reminding me if it wants to, it can be cringe. The spell's actually free. You know what? Here we go. Nope. No first try Hydro. It's in the tour over. Ooh, twice. It's a Minariko over right now, dude. Holy moly. Pretend this is harder than Kaneko, it's crazy, yeah. Then this is like Fantasy Maiden Wars from yesterday. It's Dios over. And cheering over because they left my team. The one thing we did not want to happen. Okay, let's go find Minariko. Could be anywhere, it might take a while to find her. It's unfortunate that the hard carry of the squad can no longer be Daisei because she's not in the team. So I guess I'll make do with Sakuya dealing 5 billion damage to everything. Got Kosuzu, Crew, and Renosuke. Don't forget the goat himself. trail over. We'll see. We'll see. We have to get to the snail trail to see if she decides to give it to me or not. You know, here's a question I just thought of, and I can throw this abroad, but let's narrow it down at the base at the start. This just crossed my mind. So there's all like these like normal like just fairies flying around the stage, right? Like there's the red fairies, the blue fairies, the green fairies, and then the giant sunflower fairies. The question that I just had was, do those fairies wear the same the panties they wear, is it the same color as their outfit, or do they wear a different color? Don't cat me, it's a good question. Is it? Well, you guys seem to be struggling to find an answer, so at the very least, it's a difficult question. Look at this, the blue and the red ones. Are they the same color, or are they different? Do you think they match like that? Do you think they keep their outfit entirely color-coded? We could extend this question to some of the others, like Clown Piece. Does she wear, like striped, you know, red, white with blue? Just thought fairies go commando. I could believe Clown Piece. I don't think I'd believe the others. Talking trash. You're just too scared of having a real conversation. They don't care about matching? I could believe that. So that's kind of why I'm asking. I'm like, do they go see? Happen to their clothes? Well, the clothes die with the body, so they, like, respawn with the body, right? That's how fairies get the clothes in the first place, right? Like, they don't have money. They're not going shopping, right? The fairies get their clothes as part of who they are. I think it's part of the fairy culture. Maybe when they, like, originally appear for the first time, they like, don't have clothes. I could believe that. But it's probably some, like, rule of, like, nature. Like, the outfits that they're wearing, like, sticks with them when they, like, respawn. When they die and respawn. Okay, then expand the question. How many characters do color code their undergarments? That was incredibly sketchy. This profession where humans go and hunt the fairies to sell clothes for children. I don't know. I just said I believe they keep the clothes with them. The heck, yo! Don't say heck. You watch your language, chicken butt. Come on. Listen, I just started a chicken butt by asking a question because there's all these fairies. Like there's red fairies. There's the blue fairies and these green fairies, right? And my question was, are their panties the same color? Don't Sigma me. I don't know, probably. Well, yeah, I don't know is why it's, you know, it's questions gotta be asked. You don't learn anything by not asking questions. I just ask some, you know, simple questions, and Game Glitcher gets into a flurry. It's like, I'm not talking about, oh, I hate USD, so it's fine. The lore enthusiast? Well, Game Glitcher claims to be, and then he just doesn't follow up with this. I do not accept that. I'll accept the reality that they could at times. I'm not going to accept the reality that they always do. That's boring. It's a boring reality. You gotta have some imagination. Well, why? Well, here's the other question though, Game Glitcher. If the fairies are imitating for that purpose, why would the fairies know whether or not people in the village were wearing underwear? They're not Aya. They're not out here trying to take upskirts every 5 seconds. At least I think. I guess when I was playing Shoot the Bullet, I wasn't really as much about the upskirts. She was more about the feet picks, but, you know, she goes for both of them. 27. Okay, you know, okay. Prank-wise, I could see where that information might spill out. But how much do the how much do the fairies even like try to like deal with the human? Like they obviously the fairies prank Raymond, but how much do the fairies really like deal with the human village? I feel like that's usually kind of a danger zone for non-humans to be dabbling. Not that they don't, because they absolutely do. Oh, eat people? What, the fairies? What is this image? Why is it an entourage of fairies attacking Raymond and Shalissa? Is that eye overhead? Yeah, the fairies don't eat. The yokai are the ones that eat people chicken bite. Could never organize that much. Yeah, I mean, Great Fairy Wars exist. Literally, they literally had like a civil war. Where they did literally like just kill each other, basically. Because they like messed with each other's houses. Cheerno versus the world. I mean, how much of that was Cheerbo versus the world, and more just, you know, Cheerno versus the triple Bakas. Although it doesn't really change, because it was, you know, probably the greatest war amongst, like, between fairies. Like, that was a... You know, that was Armageddon level. Yeah, look how many fairies got dragged into the war. I wasn't playing aggressive enough. Exile Doll, my beloved. I'm fighting Cheerno. Well, all the ones that you see. Okay, like Cheerno's fighting on one front, but this doesn't mean she doesn't got her own connections. You don't think she got agent? Because, like, there's 3 stages in that game. You don't think she's got agents on the other stages? In the extra stage, like, there's a bunch of fairies against her where she gets to Marissa. You don't think she has her own fairies, like, trying to deal with Marissa in the process? Slow her down? Also, I thought we saw what happened when the fairies band together, because they got their ass kicked by Okina. It's evil rule, so true. Like 7 fairies. Correction, 7 of the strongest fairies. Yeah, and you're telling me that if they had additional 200 fairies, that Okina wasn't about to just, like, blow them away? Fairies Lightning counted strong between the normal fairies. I mean, if you go by Great Fairy Wars standard, probably. Is that actually canonical? I have no clue. The fairies are always kind of brushed as, like, you know, like weak minor creatures in like Touhou, like you know, they're kind of weak, and you get some strong ones that make you wonder things. So it's like, oh, they're technically supposed to be weak, but here, like, you know, Clown Piece is doing a lot of work. You know, makes you like sometimes raise an eyebrow, like how strong are some of them? Eternity. Well, Eternity has a secret. No, my 10,000 faith! I got so fired up over that 10,000 faith. I wasn't paying attention. I died. Tipsy the fairy? Who are you talking about? I think my favorite's Harry. Favorite one. Shame he's not around anymore. I mean, nonsense. No, he's probably spouting some Dojin or something in red. Favorite's Jimbo. Jimbo's pretty good, but he's got nothing on Harry. I hate to break it to you. Right next to Random Moon Guard. Hold on, what is this? Where did this come from? Paper manipulation? Ooh. 132 centimeter height? Likes bitter food? What is this? Dude, Tipsy the Fairy, the actual goat, dude. Holy base, I didn't know. Actually, wait, hold on. Let me provide this evidence for the visual experience. Very important that we do this. It's very big. But you can see, name Tipsy the Fairy. So, yeah, as we can see here, we can see clear evidence. Okay, yeah, name Tipsy, Woodland Fairy. Yep. You can see footage on the bottom, live action. Tipsy. It's just 3 examples. She might actually appear more. They just can't fit them on the screen clearly. Interests: dueling, coin collecting, origami. 132 centimeters. Very big information we got here on the legend of Tipsy the Fairy. Make sure to include her in your new fan games, everybody. Don't want to forget about Tipsy. Make sure in your fan games as well that you include Tipsy in every single EUSD character and no one else modern, just to make Game Glitcher upset. You already forgot Certified Dementia moment. Eek! Just got diddled. Keep a lookout on the screen. Keep an eye out for Tipsy here. Okay? Early Fairy, let's go. Dude, that fairy could have been Tipsy. I can't believe I killed her. So anyway, back to the more pressing of conversations. Minariko and Shizuo, what color do they wear? On average. You know, I'm not saying they always wear the same. You know, you probably diversify a little bit, but... Like, I don't think they necessarily color match. I think they probably both fairly... I think like a tan, like kind of like a beige-ish almost. They're working in the fields all day, wearing their dresses. I definitely can't see. I definitely can't see just straight white. I don't feel like they're too fancy, though, so it's probably just some pretty, you know, like, cream. I could see Shizuo being reddish. Maybe a bit more reddish brown. Minariko's probably being like closer to white. Of course, not actually being white, but probably a bit closer. Well, Shizuo's kind of reddish brown, something along that line. I could see that. It has never been more Minariko over. Okay, even trying. Yeah, but no one's engaging with me right now. Like, come on, Game Culture. You're just gonna ignore everything going on? What if you never find out this information? What are you gonna do? Unbelievable. Kids these days. Live your life in what? Ignorance? It's always put a great deal of care into their scent. It's her perfume. Okay, that confirms it. She definitely, like, thinks twice about, like, what color she's wearing. 100%. Skip 30 minutes. Joke's on you, I don't have to chat in the VODs. Foolish fool of a took. Plus, the VOD viewers aren't here watching this, they're watching Fantasy Maiden Wars. I'm actually pretty surprised about that, too. In a good way. I noticed on Sunday when I was doing my thumbnail editing as I put my VODs up on YouTube, that Fantasy Maiden Wars was getting view numbers up to similar to that of that I get Lost Branch on YouTube. Zebra Quake, thank you for the follow, appreciate it. Which is weird too, because I feel like Fantasy Maiden Wars is usually, like, on stream is getting me, like, my least while I'm streaming. But it's getting carried by the VODs. Okay, this time for sure, Hina, right? Totally. Ooh, you know what I also didn't make my obligatory comment of? The fact that it's Friday. You know what that means? That means I can sleep in tonight and I don't have to go to work tomorrow. Bye-bye. Okay, Hina, just give me a pretty smooth Heener here, why don't you? You know, that was completely my doing. Ooh, what about Hina, though? You think she does black or red? Or other? Or it's like some combination, maybe? I can see, like, a blackish red. Me on my way to do every bad Ogane line possible. This is my retribution for this conversation? Nah, it's just how I normally play Ogane. Nice. Stage 3, my beloved. It's okay, I got my Hydro Deaths out of the way in practice, so I'm not gonna die in the run. That's how that works. Taking notes. Glad to see you're learning. It's always great when you can just have a day where you end the day and you're like, man, I really learned a lot this day. Act a human. The other note, the second note to take is Hydro Camouflage is a bitch, and I hate it. I don't deserve that. I hate this. Why aren't you dead? Thank you. Fuck, I did the same thing again as yesterday, and it worked fine. Do everything I just did. It's perfectly safe, I assure you. Saying Aki Human increase cap rate. Probably about 20%. Now, some may say that surely is just placebo, and there's no real implications for it. Words are hard. And if I actually look historically at my cap rate, it's probably not 10% increase or 20% increase, but we'll pretend it is. A lot of that section was not, like, the best routing I've ever done, but we lived. And now I get to see the cap up. Probably the RNG manipulation, exactly. Touhou and its well-known RNG manipulation. Actually, not well-known. I'm bringing out a new age of Touhou. The stage of RNG manipulation where you do some moves and pray it works. I want to bait her to the left. Not legit. Well, if there was, like, true RNG manipulation... Like, some, you know, older games tend to have, like, true RNG manipulation. And that definitely would not be used for runs. Uh-oh, Binky. Beep! Everything's fine. Fog plate is free, is Rainbow homing. See, it's free! That was sketchy AF, Stage 3. Yeah, but, like, kind of the point is, in something like Touhou, right? And I'm not talking about, like, oh, you know, if you're on the left side of the boss, you can move her to the left. Like legitimate RNG manipulation in Touhou is effectively not impossible, right? Like, it's effectively never going to really exist. Well, at least as far as we can see, currently. Unless you actually, like, have some sort of, like, editor. That was not pretty. Actually, that was fine. Like, I read it well. I could have probably gone to the left to go for a slightly less sketchy dodge, but... Like, I read how to dodge that properly, and it worked fine. So, I'm honestly actually not too upset with saying, oh, that was a bad line. No, that was actually solid. IMO. I gotta stop saying that. I'm a hypocrite to my own words. Your favorite? I mean, maybe to some degree, but, like... Let's say RNG has a base 50-50, because that's, like, theoretically how RNG works. World's most horrible Luigi. Why, bro? Okay, another Aya pace. Let's go. Anyway, the whole point is because, like, let's assume RNG at its base is 50-50, which it, you know, realistically is, right? It's not favored to anyone specifically. It's, like, completely neutral. You can get, like, everything under the sun's possible. It's not, like, favored one way or the other. Okay? The problem is in something like Touhou, it's how are you going to RNG manip in a way to make it more than just like more than a 1% increase in your favor, maybe? And because like, how are you going to do it in a way that gives you a consistent advantage? Right? Because an example I can use is the original Final Fantasy 1 for the NES. Because if you... I raise it by frame count. Yeah. Where it's like... But, like... I don't think Touhou, like, actually, like... lets that happen. Like, the way the game, like, functions. Because, like... I've used the original Final Fantasy for the NES, where, like... From, like, boot up to you doing every input and every action, the battles are, like... are effectively predetermined if you want to RNG manip that. Okay, there's a reason, like, in the speedrun for the original Final Fantasy, there's two categories, one for RNG manipulation, one for no RNG manip, because, and, like, one example is, if you play a few battles, you hard reset the game, which they do in the speedrun at times, and then you come back, the next battle in this certain patch of this, like, certain area will always be the same. And if you're in that battle, depending on when you input your action, you can always get the same, like, action. You can get the same potential dodge, crits, whatever. But, like, you know, something like this, it's a lot harder to actually, like, you know, do something like that. At the very least, to get, like, a consistent advantage over even, like, a small area. I'm not saying it can't theoretically exist, like, some people may be able to, you know, RNG manip some things in the future, but, like, pretty clean Saruda, no real issues there. Sponsor boss movie, yeah, but, like, oh, I don't deserve that. I don't deserve that at all. Oh, buddy, Storm Days. Such a fucking... I hate this spell! Die! I had to force it to the left. Fuck my ass. Ah, I hate this spell. With my ass. No, hold up for a second. You gotta make sure it's a girl there that's doing that, okay? Like, I'm not gay, so, you know, let's make sure it's, you know, something feminine, right? But the point I was getting at Game Glitcher was, like, with random posted movement like that, like with theoretical RNG manipulation, something like Touhou, it's like, but like theoretically, like there's ideas how you could RNG manip a entire run theoretically, but like would Touhou, like, how could you possibly do that in Touhou? I'm not talking about how you can, like, oh, you know, take advantage of it. Obviously, if you can manip an attack where she moves to the same spot every time and shoots the bullets in the same kind of way. You can memorize your inputs like that and handle that. But, like, how are you going to manipulate the game into letting you do that? Like, what kind of action? Because, like, some things like the original Final Fantasy for the NES I talked about. Like, generally the game advances, like, it's RNG, like, one frame at a time. So you can use, but, like, it always resets to, like, the same thing. So you can kind of, you know, you can predict it. But I don't believe Touhou does the same thing. So the question is, how do you do that in something like this? How do you find that aspect of consistency here in a predictable manner? Because like theoretically there's RNG manipulation some ways, but if it's not predictable, then like how useful is it? Like, every time something random happens in this game, like, it's pulling from a number code, and it, like, gives you the end result. But if you can't predict that end result, then there's nothing that, like... There's no worth in the fact that it was, like, determined a second ahead of time or something. Yeah, but of course, like, the most basic point there is just, like, how, like, getting to the point where you can, you know, consistently predict that. That's why I'm saying it's, like, not theoretically possible long-term. Like, maybe some people will find ways to break that was not a good line. You want to go on the outside on this wave, not the second wave. Although it can work as long as you prepare for it. Because, like, theoretically, there's a world where at some point people will learn some way maybe to break it, to figure it out. But, like, you know, it's something like this. As far as like we currently have knowledge for, it's just not feasible. Like, it's one of those things that might be theoretically possible, but it's not practical right now. Fantasy. Well, that's not necessarily like the Final Fantasy exclusive things. Like, I think every game on the NES has this to some degree. Because of how, like, the games back then would advance RNG. Okay, even something not quite as old, although it's still, like, 20 years old when you think about it, like Pokemon Emerald has a pretty well-known kind of consistent RNG. The 64, same. So, yeah, Mario 64, that's a... And a lot of this, you know, you don't really learn the consistent RNG predicting until, you know, decades into the future. At this point. So there's some aspect where it's not, like, out of like, question that people would learn this type of thing for something like Touhou as the example is what's being used here, but... Even then, where some things like some of those old games, like PC-98 maybe, probably a bit more likely, but like at what point are you... How complex is it to the point where it's probably not even like humanly abusable, where it's really only like pass abusable? As well. Like that's another fair question for some things. Like how easy does it have to be for it to be humanly accessible or doable? I mean, in Pod, I love me Pod, so I know a lot. But like, when you click a start game as a certain character, the bosses you have to fight is predetermined from that moment. So that's why when we do runs, we usually save state to like the very beginning, so we can predict, so we like can fight the bosses in a certain order. So you can try to get the harder bosses out of the way first. always nice to get past that fairy. That one's a sketch. It's been allowed to say, right? Yeah, well, of course, because that's also a difference in, like... Because, like, Mario 64 is also... It has the advantage of two things, right? A, it's old, so it's kind of a lot more... Its RNG, like patterns are probably a lot more consistent and a lot easier to find, per se. And it's probably, like, the single game that might have had, like, the most people looking for exploits in this regard. So you've had, like, 1 billion people looking so deep into it. You know, because there's probably a lot of old games with RNG, you know, exploits that people haven't, you know, exploited. Because, you know, there's just not enough people, you know, trying to, you know, figure out how to manipulate the code. Yeah, but, like, you also have to look at the code in a way that to make it, you know, exploitable. Because, like, I can look at the code on, like, this attack to see the angles that she's, like, shooting the bullets. Although this attack's not, like, random bullets. I believe the only randomness on this attack is her movement, which causes any variation on this attack. But, like, this attack, it's, like, where she's shooting the bullets, I believe, is random to a degree. But, like, there's, you know, a certain degree where she's supposed to shoot, so... Oh, come on, that was not that bad of a dodge. But don't forget to kiss your Konako. Very important, most important part of the run. Your run is actually invalid if you don't do that. Of course, the issue is, like, to figure out, like, where randomness can occur, how to consistently get the same number. How to manipulate it so you get the same number. Right, the type of thing where it's like you purposely, like, you know, do certain inputs on, like, these, like, frames, and then you, like, hold for, like, 2 frames, you know? Da-da-da-da-da. That whole shtick. Death by homing. Yeah, I'm not going to deny what's probably the easiest way to do it. It's just, you know, when are we going to possibly be at a point where people may have found a method of doing that, even on a task level? Like even above a task, like, especially above a task level, like, down to, like, a more humanly accessible level. Like, if you do things in a way where, you know, you're making the exact same input on every specific frame, it's a lot easier to cast things like this. But, like, execution, like, oh, right before she died, too. something to manipulate this set. Yeah, but like the whole point is that manipulating the set per se in something like this is probably extraordinarily, significantly harder than something like those old games where I mean, we already have the knowledge of how to do that, but like it's a lot more streamlined of how these things progress. That's a 1 miss. I mean, it was a 3 miss, but you know, we can pretend it was a 1 miss. Still a fucking very good run. Even impossible, no one would want to do it. I mean, people would want to do it, at least like to do it, right? I feel like that's one of the biggest reasons why like TASs exist in the first place. Is like, you know, to see it's almost to see what's possible, right? Ay-ya-ya, by the way. Fucking ay-ya-ya. Like, there are people who are more than willing to pause buffer, by the way, Ron. It's like, don't exclude something as people wouldn't want to do it. Visibly cheating what they want normally. Yeah, but that's why a lot of people who generally find things like this, I would argue. I'm not someone who delves into coding and especially decompiling, you know, code. So I can't speak from direct experience, but so you know, take everything I say with a grain of salt. But I feel like most of the people who like find this stuff are more interested in just like trying to see what you like, trying to learn more about it, and just trying to see what you can find, and trying to see like, again, to see how far you can like push the game in certain ways. People who want to use it, you know, maliciously per se, are people who usually just, you know, see what other people have done and take off of that, right? You know, we talk about Mario 64, let's go to speedrunning, right? Like, there are people who will try to cheat speedruns. But, like, I feel like for the most part, the people who do that are not people, you know, finding new tech and, like, trying to make their cheats around that, right? Maybe if they are, then they're probably not getting found for it, but, like, it seems like with how much effort there is into a lot of that, like you said, it's like, I think the people who find a lot of this stuff are the people who are just looking for curiosity's sake, or just, you know, just to see what you can do. Or because you notice, like, a potential pattern with something, right? Like in Pokemon Emerald, where you know, how people determine some bugs and some quirks in the AI coding, where they look at the code and they're like, okay, this is how, like, you know, this is how the AI is more likely to pick things in certain situations and do certain moves, and then they see this thing do an action where it, like, literally shouldn't be possible based on, like, what they looked at code, like, okay, where is this actually pulling numbers from? and then they find out, oh, in this hyper-specific situation, it's something incredibly jank, where it's pulling this one specific number from this previous set of numbers. That's only possible because, like, in this specific situation, because of this exact quirk. Like the recent Glalie Hail and Protect thing, where because Protect comes, I'm gonna like simplify this a lot, but like because Protect comes after Hail in the move order, and it has a power of 0 because it's technically stats move, but it's assigned a base power of 0. And in the very specific situation, this gets carried over into the AIs. This gets carried over into like the last set of progressing its AI. You saw video 2, yeah. So it pulls. So it reads as if it's Sunny, even though it's not Sunny, and the AI then wants to click Hail. We just like pulling weird shenanigans, and that's one of those situations where you're not necessarily digging, looking for something. It's you notice. It's like you've already dug. You think you found what you found, and then you notice a trend with something that you didn't deem as possible. You're like, how is this breaking? Where can you manipulate the code with that? But again, one thing that makes a lot of games like, say, Pokemon Emerald, exploitable is the fact that it progresses its RNG on a consistent, like, frame-by-frame basis. That's the consistent from startup. Touhou, unless I'm completely mistaken, but I feel like people would know this by now, does not do that. I heard about that because I pay a lot of attention to Pokemon Battle Factory information, and I came up because of Pokemon Battle Factory stuff. Although as of literally earlier today, I've recently switched over to Pokeblock grinding. Holy fuck, that is complicated and a pain in the ass to grind. I got Pokerogue. No, I have played. No, I haven't played Pokerogue. Pokerogue is the stupid one, I think. Pokemon Emerald Rogue is the one made by some people a little bit ago. That is the actual like decent one like that. I think, if I'm getting it right. But no, don't tell big Pikachu. But I may have a way to play Emerald on my cellular device. I don't actually, but there's a chance. And whenever I have breaks or something at work and things are slow, or I'm like hanging out with my friends, or just hanging out talking, I usually just pull it up. Pokemon Battle Factory Emerald. See how far I can go into that. Fun to do. I decided earlier today though to pivot over to I was like, you know what? I've done this bit. I'm a little burnt out right now. So before I go back to doing more, I'm gonna do some Pokemon contest grinding. It's like, yeah, let me learn how to let me learn about increasing, increasing beauty stats and stuff. And I was like, holy shit, this is complex. I would do it in Platinum, but Platinum's a lot harder to like emulate on the phone, especially to like as good of quality as like Game Boy. Not that I would do that in the first place, though. No. Keener. It would be a lot easier to grind the Pokemon contest stuff if I was on my computer instead of my phone, because then I could like actively like change, like edit my save and just get myself all the berries I need to make Pokeblocks with, instead of having to, even with speed up, plant and harvest them all. All the proper berry, that's a pain in the ass, but you know, we do it. Save out of your sets. Well, that's what I did. That's what I can do on my like PC. My PC, it's a lot easier to get like a save it, like to like use a save editor type of thing for this. It's significantly harder on the phone. It's like generally on PC, there's a bunch of different save editors you can use. Just like and where your save file is stored, it's a lot easier to access. As long as you're using like certain emulators that are pretty consistent for this type of thing. It would take a lot more. Like, I could probably do it if I really tried hard about it, but like that's a pain. But I mean, having like 5x speeds up a lot of process, although growing berries is still incredibly tedious. I'm hoping that because the emulator does not classify does not specify the game having its internal battery dried up, if it like is running time based on my phone. So you know, if I open it up tomorrow, if my berries are actually going to be grown in real time, in case it'll make my life a lot easier. Instead of having to run it at 5x speed, or honestly, I think it might be a little more than 5x speed, but. Bum 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 bum. Nice. Problem is, I also have to figure out for the 5 different stats, what Pokemon I want to use for each stats. Because I bred a Mudkip. Because it's very easy to get 4 good cute moves on a Mudkip. So I did that. But the problem is I gotta figure out which other Pokemon to get for each of the other 5 stats. Like what's 4 good smart moves? Or like what's Pokemon that can learn 4 smart moves without too much effort? Yeah, Smockip's a very soft Pokemon. That's not a good line. It's a terrible line, if you ask me, actually. Well, my older sister's first game was Pokemon Sapphire, and she used the Marshtomp to beat the entire game. Yes, Marshtomp, not Swampert. She liked Marshtomp more than Swampert, so she kept with the Marshtomp the entire time. This would have been when she was probably like 11. A good, 17, 18 years ago. Internet? You've been pretty good all day. You don't have to, do quick, brief issues here or there. You can be pretty consistent, The wood starter line, the grass type, that would be Trico, Grovyle, and Sceptile. But also because I have to breed a plus speed natured Mudkip. Preferably one without a negative stat in either special attack or special defense. So preferably timid, or I forget what the other stat would be. I got a box of like 20 baby Mudkips right now. I got timid on the first plus speed one, so I don't have to like potentially keep going, but gotta have the plus speed nature to make it better cute. Yo, Waldro? That's a pretty base name, not gonna lie. I love in VGC for competitive Pokemon. It's 2v2s, but if you're playing against someone from another country, nicknames in game won't come up. So like you can't name your Pokemon questionable names and then play people in these tournaments and such, but what'll still happen is if you play someone from whenever you send out a Pokemon, the name it comes out in will be the name it gets captured in. So you can see, oftentimes you'll see like Japanese characters or something, but you can see the Spanish or the Italian or the German, names, if someone catches them in their language and then fights you with it online, whether it's online or like, in competitive tournament. So you see my personal favorite being Rillaboom being Gortrom. Or the Fluttermane that's Flutterhar. Not bad. Vocalizes even names. Don't look at me. I'm not Game Freak. I mean, I play video games and I'm a freak, if you know what I mean. No, I'm not. I don't eat ass and suck toes, so. Also, hello, Banana Walrus. You missed my 3-miss I had earlier. Now the brain is going to deteriorate because I got a good run. That was not a great line. Plus, it's a Friday. I had one good run already. Brain's, gonna get tired. It's the perfect time for me to lose my sanity and Ace Attorney. I think there's so much Blaziken before in the early and now it's completely stopped. My best guess is because Blaziken was probably pretty popular with community back when it came out, but then Lucario happened, and Lucario kind of became the face of that part of that group, right? Like Lucario, I feel like kind of pushed Blaziken out of its role. Lopunny also probably a solid candidate. Because, like, back when Blaziken first came out, right, like, there wasn't a whole lot of top-tier competition. The Vaporeon meme wasn't really out and about at the time. So it's like, you had Gardevoir and Blaziken. And, the Pokemon some people would be questionable in that regard. But then Generation 4, brought about Lopunny or Lopunny, I never even pronounce it, and Lucario. And did irreparable damage to the community. Or that side of the community, at least. But no, Lopunny was Generation 4. Same with Lucario. Gardevoir and Blaziken were both Gen 3. And all the various evolutions, which are also fairly popular down there across scattered generations. Umbreon, for whatever reason, are arguably the most popular of them all for this type of thing, being Generation 2. Culture was a thing back then. Yeah, but Umbreon doesn't appeal in the porn side of things for questionable design. Umbreon doesn't really appeal to like the evolutions are very popular for the furry side of things. With Umbreon somehow being the most besides Lucario and Lopunny, of course. Lucario, I believe, being or Umbreon being the most popular of them. I'm not a part of the furry community, so I can't speak too much from expertise, but I feel like, the goth community, for what it was back then, was not necessarily in line with the, I don't know how much overlap there was with the furry scene. Although, back in those early days, I was not, really on the internet to see a lot of that, so I can't speak the most. Miss Magius, or Miss Magius, depending on how you want to pronounce it. Yeah, I don't know how many people have really, gone over the way to loot that thing. Usually not the thing about top of my head. I mean, if you want to see something funny for, designs, just go look at Pokemon Unite and some of the custom skins in that. Might be cool in its evolution line. That's not a take I've never heard before. I've heard that a good handful of times. People like Haunter more than Gengar. I don't have a strong opinion either way. I like both of them. I don't particularly love both of them, so it's kind of indifferent with like which one's better. Or which one's my favorite is the better way to put it. Gengar trade evolution. So true, though. And I was fortunate. I grew up in a household with 3 siblings, and like all of us played Pokemon. And we had multiple Game Boys or DSs when that came around, when like, you know, the DS games came around. And we had like the Game Boy Link cable, so we could trade it and, you know, do trade evolution stuff, but still, it's still a pain in the arse. I hate you. That's why it's so great with A, they introduced the link cable and let you just use an item to evolve them, or B, you play ROM hacks that just make it a level up evolution, not a trade evolution. Yeah, catching Abra is not great, but like, if it's, I think it's part of the thing about the Pokemon. I'm not, like, I think it's a fine game design. I don't know if I ever really used much Abra in my, when I used to play Pokemon, like, casually like that. Like, early on, like, the earliest on when I used to play Pokemon, it was like, starter only. Like, I, like, only play with my starter. Right? Everything else is an HM slave, and starters like that. And then, yeah, Generation 4 and 5, I kind of, especially like, 4 a little bit. On the latter end, I started being a lot better about diversifying my team. Generation 5 is really where I got, like, you know, hey, you know, using different Pokemon, you know, da-da-da-da-da. And not just having a level 80 Charizard. But the other thing is like, when I'd go back, you know, as long as it's not Fire Red or Leaf Green, I would, you know, Ralts was my go-to for Psychic types. I'm not going to use 2 of them both. Well, I was going to say I'm not going to use 2 of them. That's actually not true. There are games where I'd use 2 Psychics, but I'm not running that overlap with both Gardevoir and Alakazam. Plus, why would I want to use Trade Evolution when just, like, even if I have the opportunity to use a Trade Evolution, I just level, like, using a level up evolution is so much easier. You're level 100. 100 lets you right out of Route 4. Not quite that extreme, but, the very first time I played Pokemon was Pokemon Fire Red. And, I picked Charmander. Because at the time, you know, I was, like, 6. And, you know, fire-breathing lizard, cool. And before I had gotten past the bug-catching event. You know, the one past that, like, like, Viridian, I think it is. Like, before I'd gotten past that, I had leveled my Charmander up to level 16 to evolve into a Charmeleon. Not picking Squirtle? Nah. Never picked... I never really gone for Squirtle. Back when I was, like, the youngest playing Pokemon, I was all about, like, the fire types. And then eventually, I started to become a lot more, you know, like, hey, you know, I'm not just obsessed with, you know, the cool fire type Pokemon. But in Generation 1, when I, kind of stop picking Charmander, I almost always pick Bulbasaur nowadays. Full fly cube. Well, it's probably about 12 or 13. Me, my older sister, my older brother, and one of our friends, we all played Heart Gold, Soul Silver. And we did a type challenge where each person was randomly given 2 types, and you could only use Pokemon of those types. It's not like it was like a Nuzlocke or anything. It's just a fun thing. And we were trying to see who would beat the game first. I got Grass and Rock as my 2 types. One of the reasons I'm a Meganium loyalist. Also, one of the reasons I'm very fond of Corsola. Back to stage 3. But another memory I have, because I when I would originally play Pokemon Fire Red, never upgraded Roselia because the evolution is so ugly. Excuse me. Felt that one coming. That was a long build-up. I love Roserade. Roserade's one of my favorite Pokemon. Faux show. I wouldn't say it's like top 3 or anything, but it's definitely up there. I'm a big Roserade fan. Probably because it's probably in large part just because I used it a lot. Because you get Badoo you can get Badoo so early in Platinum. Carry you with me through like the entire game, because God forbid I switch my Pokemon out. Okay, the way it works is because I used to, like, me and my siblings, we used to have like all Akahuman, by the way. We used to have like all like those all like the books, like all like the here's all the routes and everything, like the guidebooks per se, right? Where it's like, oh, here's the complete Pokedex at the end and everything. Oh, here's all this shebang. And because we got into Pokemon from our neighbors across the street, and they had a bunch of these books, and that's how we got acquainted. That's one of the big reasons we got acquainted with Pokemon in the first place. Is two people we know on our street who are like 8+ years older than, like, my 8+, like 6-7 years older than my oldest sister, who's my oldest sibling. We used to BMX race, and they were over afterwards, and we're just hanging out on the back deck. This is when we were little, and they had their Game Boys out playing. They both had Pokemon Emerald doing Link battles with each other. I remember that one. That's an old memory. Them sitting on our back deck using Link battles. I remember one of them had a Wailord. That's what I remember fondly. That's one of the biggest reasons we got into it. The head pat's not Danmaku, so true. Where are those numbers? What numbers? And Walrus, why are you having a stroke? Appa. But I would always go, like, whenever I'd, like, go to play a Pokemon game again, like when I was like 12, I would like go through the book. I would like pick a starter and then like 5 Pokemon. I like completely pre-designed like my moves and everything ahead of time, like look where I could find them in the game, and then like go in like I'd completely pre-plan out the team I'd use ahead of time. Like, okay, I'm gonna get this thing on this route. Da-da-da-da-da. There's just no sense of reading right now on that attack. I did it on the first run of the day. I've not done it since. Where I need to be reading ahead, and I'm just not. I'll have to shoot him towards CG to get the finger. You do you. I'm not gonna stop you. Kricketune. I like Kricketune, I never used it. And that's not necessarily because it was ass. I was never necessarily opposed to using ass Pokemon. I loved Butterfree when I was younger. I used the shit out of Butterfree. I was also a bit of a Beedrill enjoyer too, but Butterfree was always my go-to. Dustox as well, love Dustox. But I was never like Kricketune. Like I like Kricketune and love its anime, its sound and everything. But I was never a Kricketune user. Your ass in mid game. I mean, technically, if you really want to be like specific, if you have Compound Eyes, increase its accuracy. Compound Eyes Sleep Powder is disgusting. It's still not, like, great. Like, don't get me wrong. So, it is kind of ass. But, like, I still love it. Big Butterfree fan. And that's not necessarily, like, me and my siblings used to watch the anime, and my love for Butterfree does not come because of the Butterfree episode from the show. I just really like Butterfree. I was also fortunate that one of my favorite Pokemon, what is this site? I was also very fortunate when I play Platinum. I'm not clicking this button right now. I don't know how loud it's gonna be. But what I'm saying is I was very fortunate that one of my favorites of Platinum was Garchomp. Like every time I'd go into the cave right below Eterna City, I forget the name of it. Is it Wayward Cave or like Waypoint Cave, something like that? And get myself a Gibble. So, despite of some Pokemon I use being a little questionable at times, but always a big Garchomp fan. And he'd help carry my runs a bit. Although I was always a Torterra picker as well, so I had a bit of an ice problem. Nice bumper. Ooh, rest in peace, Faith. It's okay, I got my 3-ness already today. Brain can rot. As I ramble. I need to find a good working DS emulator for the phone. I mean, legit way to play that on the go like that, right? I've been doing stuff in Emerald, and I like that, but I'd like to do it in, like, Platinum, too. But, like, it's hard to find mobile DS emulators that are as good as some of the Game Boy equivalents. Like, a big problem is once you play in, like, 5x speed up, it's kind of hard to go back. Okay, I'll give you a few more chances, but reaching a point where I'm perfectly willing to move on soonish. Not a great line. I should just gone right. Me and my shiny Pidgey. I remember Fire Red Leaf Green the. I've seen a very, very, very small amount of legit shinies in my time playing Pokemon, but I remember getting a shiny Pidgey when I was probably like 12, 13, something like that. Damn sick cap. Or sick cancel, I should say. Cap is whatever, it's not like that's the most interesting of caps. The cancel is really good. Okay, don't bump me. She never bumps me. She bumped me. Or maybe more I bumped myself, but... Oop. Convenient, so true. My brain was definitely too sleepy to play, and I'll go for another 5 minutes. Or so. Nice early fairy, plus 100 faith. I'm actually pretty low on faith right now, though. Tragic. Don't bump me. One for the road. Beep. I didn't get bumped. Throw 8. Pretty damn good. I think I grade a bit too many bullets, or a flame, so I don't think I can get a 73. But I think a 72 was probably possible. Let's see. No, not quite 72. 71-7. Okay, you know one for the road, come on. You know you want to. Not the best line, once again, Ogane, me and my Ogane lines. Guess we get to see Sage 3 one more time. Cleanest fairy section you've ever seen? Act a human. Die, thank you. Hydro Campbell literally free. Okay, wall fairies, one for the road. Okay, Kappa Papa, one for the road. Hey, the power of homing. Oh, that was a good read too. It's just when I'm this tired, my execution's just not going to be on the money. Oh well. Good runs for the day. We take those. And we'll be back tomorrow.